Hello guys and welcome to today's video. One of the most important things in table tennis is your ability to read spin. So today I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks that I use to handle spin in a very effective and good way. Let's go. So the first thing I look at is the movement and the power that goes into my opponent's swing. Let me try and explain a little bit more clear. That if, for example, when I play like this, you can see it's controlled, but the movement is not really explosive. You cannot also generate a lot of spin with this way. But if I then change it up like this, and you can see that I'm more explosive, directly I get so much more spin. So if you see your opponent playing a forehand and he's a little bit like this, make sure to not close your racket too much because it's not going to be super heavy. Whereas if he steps into the ball and really uses the force of all of his body, it's not only going to have much more power, but it's also going to generate much more spin. So make sure to not take that ball too early, let it bounce and go down on the ball to control the spin. And now I'm going to try and demonstrate and explain step by step what to actually do when blocking a topspin and controlling the spin. So he's going to start off not playing too hard. My racket handle is not really that closed, because if I close it too much, it's not that heavy, it will go directly down. So there you have to wait on the ball and give it a little bit of push because his attack does not have that much force. If he then takes it up a step and puts a little bit more effort into it, you can see I have to close the racket more and lean more down into the ball, because otherwise it will go out. And if you now then try and play some bumba, you can play the best quality you can. You can see my legs are also now working, like really every part of my body is having tension and pushing the ball down to really counter the spin from his forehand attack. Because it's actually a very strong forehand, and if your racket is a little bit too open, it will fly out. So make sure you really have connection everywhere and that you go down into the ball to control the spin in the best way possible. So yeah, that was the first thing, that you look on your opponent's movements to determine how much spin he will put in the ball. It's very, very good to do this, especially in the defense, because that's where it's the most obvious and easy to see how much effort he puts into it. Now the next step is actually the sound. It's the sound of how the ball is when you hit your racket. For example, if I do like this, of course, it's no spin. But if you hear this sound, then it's a lot of spin, like a lot. And this you can also use in the match. Let's say that I get a half-long ball in my forehand, and you hear this sound, just a dead sound of the racket. Even though he doesn't see my racket, he hears the sound, he directly knows that it's no spin. Whereas if I make this sound, you can hear it's really like gripping on the rubber, and then you already know that it's going to be heavy spin, and then you can already prepare to really get over the ball and try to handle it the best way possible. And another thing where I think it's very useful to use the sound is when people are playing a push. Doesn't matter if it's in the rally or on the receive, because many times if you hear this sound, it's almost no spin at all because it's almost a flat hit. But if someone makes this, you can directly hear much more the rubber. And when you hear the sound of the rubber connecting with the ball in this way, then it's going to be a lot of spin. And if you combine the sound and the movement of, for example, a push, or if someone makes a topspin, it's really easy to determine around how much spin is in the ball, so you don't play too much out or too much in the net. Now I've told you about how useful sound is, so I'm gonna give you a little test now. It's a little challenge. I'm gonna make 3 different forehand topspins now, and only by the sound I want you to guess which one has the least and the most and the medium amount of spin of the 3 shots. Make sure to comment if you got it right or wrong. Let's go. Big sound difference. If you got it right, congratulations. If you didn't, I'm sure you will get it eventually. The third thing is pretty advanced and complicated. So maybe this is too advanced for you, but I think it's a very good and important tip. So you can try it and see if it works for you. It's actually the timing and the position of your opponent when he makes the shot. I'll try and demonstrate. If I get a long push in the backhand, for example, he's gonna push me now 2 times in the almost same tempo, and I'm gonna make the same amount of effort in both shots. First, you know, the ball is coming early and it's bouncing into my racket with higher speed, and I go through it. A lot of spin. But if I do the same and he makes the same push, but I wait, there, it's gonna be like quite a lot less spin, even though it's the same technique and it's the same push from him, just because of the timing. Same goes for when you're pushing. If I get a short ball in forehand, for example, and I go early like this, it's really heavy, you can see, the ball is coming back. But if I wait and make the same, this is much less spin, even though it's the same from me and it's the same from my opponent, just because of the timing and position of me when I make my shot. This is very advanced and it's hard to adapt and really get the feeling for it. And the only way to learn this thing is by playing a lot, practicing a lot, and trying your best every day in practice. But I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, can get it right. Now comes the tricky thing, because of course, one of the hardest shots in table tennis is actually the receive. It's very hard to receive players who have a strong serve. And these tips, they're kind of useless on serves, because if many players are hiding their serve, so you cannot see the body when they touch the ball, and they are stomping in the ground, masking the sound of the touch. So 2 of the things I just told you are useless in receives. However, there is one thing you can do that you cannot do on these other things, and that is actually look at the ball. Since a serve is quite slow, you actually have time to look at the ball, determine how much spin is in it, and then make your decision. Now Patrick is going to make a few serves to me. I'm going to try and use this trick to demonstrate how effective it is that when you wait and you look before deciding what receive you make, it will often result in a good receive. As I was waiting, I see the ball is not rotating, it's no spin. Don't go too much under it. Downspin, it's rotating too fast. No spin, not rotating. So by looking at the ball, I directly see if it's downspin or no spin, or if there's a little bit side spin in it, and you can accordingly adjust your angle. And it's much easier to receive that way. It's really helpful. Try it out, let me know what you think. And of course, quickly before this video is over, when I'm explaining like with the amount of force you put into the shot, it's not only for forehand and for pushes. I just feel like those shots were the easiest to explain it with. It can be used for every shot, doesn't matter from where or who's playing them. And I hope these tips and the tricks can help you to understand spin better and deal with it better in your practices and matches. See you next time.